Bonjour, je suis not Manly. Ici le voyage d'espace, je ne sais quoi, and this is hopefully the second to last episode where we are taking a look at Prax, the third moon of Nara, a mere 220 kilometers across. And yes, I know I've been doing stuff in millikerbins and saying microkerbins, okay? I only have 2 episodes left, let me do this. 1 day is 6 hours, this is another really fast spinner. Its orbit period is just under 4 years around Nara, and it is not tidally locked, but it has a pretty wild inclination. Delta V to get out here, it takes 2.4 kilometers per second from low Nara orbit. Capturing is pretty low, depending on where it is in its orbit, but landing is ridiculously cheap. You can get there on EVA packs if you wanted to. It's another possible interstellar staging area. In fact, the newest release seems to allow for that sort of thing, and it has a very high science multiplier just like its sister moons. But I ran into terrain traction problems here as well. The spin rate is kind of like Edna, where making a landing with tall craft can be a problem, and there are some fissures at the North Pole, but not a crazy object up there, like at some places. When we last left our heroes Chris, Bob, and Doug Kerman, they were in orbit above Enon, getting ready to do their ejection out to Prax. And I didn't realize it, but it was a pretty quick trip. You know, I thought Prax was like halfway across the Nara system here, but when I went to aim and shoot at these guys, I just made sure we got high enough up. Okay, there we go. Get the warp drive going. And then it ended up being a rather quick warp. Like, oops. Here I was. Let's get away from Enon. Come on. And then... oops. Fortunately, we didn't collide with Prax and we were able to close orbit fairly handily. Prax is a pretty wild-looking ice ball. I didn't realize it would be as bright as it is out here. Almost as bright as Enon is. It's a small enough moon that there are probably enough resources out here to build spacecraft. I don't know for sure. Maybe Rational Resources messes with that. But hey, we'll find out in a bit. The science multiplier out here is very much like its sister moons. I end up trying for a high polar orbit because, hey, I've got Delta V for days on that rover, so I really want to go looking for any anomalies on the surface. As it turns out, we did find one. Look at this. Yeah, changing orbits is not expensive around this little rock. If anything, I'd say that Prax looks a lot more like stock Dres than stock Dres does. Kind of flat, kind of bumpy at the same time. There's the anomaly. It's pretty close to the North Pole. I end up trying to get right above it as close as I can. And there we go. Oh yeah, look at that. No problem. Let's get right on top of that. In fact, because we are right on top of it, I end up coming back to do the landing shortly after. There we go. Prax Object 1, and it ended up being the only Prax object. There was nothing on the bottom, there was nothing on the sides, just the one. Anyway, with that information in hand, we send Chris and Bob Kerman down to the surface. We want Chris aboard for the return trip so that he has maneuver hold. This craft needs some special attention because the center of thrust is just slightly off the center of mass. We end up doing a straight descent down without any real issues. Trying to think of how else we did this. I think it was... I don't remember if we did this kind of descent before. Anyway, I was worried about the high spin sending this craft up for a loop, so I ended up just going straight down to the poles. There we go. We're actually pretty high up now. We can get a decent landing right here. Maybe just drive over to the thing. And see if we can get up to the North Pole on the way. But then I'm like, wait a minute, you know, the gravity is so weak here and we need so little Delta V to get around. What are we doing here? Yeah, let's just get over to the anomaly straight away. Come on, Bob. And off we go! Target marker isn't quite there, but we'll get there. A quick flyby over the North Pole. I got some footage of some fissures over here, but no crazy objects, no mohole, no mopole or anything crazy like that. Not a bad-looking North Pole, but there are some fissures up there, so be careful if you do travel. Anyway, we end up lining up our approach to go straight to the anomaly, and I can see it just up there in the distance. It's once again one of the random monoliths. Here we go, just like before, I'll thrust up if I want to increase my apoapsis. I won't just thrust prograde. There we go. Now look at the slope marker. Notice the slope value is like non-existent. It only comes back when there's actually a stable piece of terrain aboard. I've got that terrain problem again where the wheels sink into the ground, and one way to tell is if the slope value in Kerbal Engineer surface mode actually has any value or not. And I'm worried, uh-oh, am I not going to be able to do this landing? But then the slope value does appear, so it looks like I can safely touch down here. And there's Enon in the distance there. That can't be Enon, we're too far away. That had to be Nara out there, yeah. So yeah, our slope value is still a valid number, so hopefully we can touch down safely and actually get around. And of course this is a pretty easy touchdown. And there we go. So 2 of the wheels have sunk down, so we're going to drive up just a little bit. There's the inner system, and there's the object once again. And now that we're on a reasonably safe piece of terrain, we can send out Chris and hopefully plant a flag on this thing. The science multipliers here were again about the same as they were on Enon and Amos, so not a problem. They all seem to have the same values. But yeah, this should be the second to last flag for this playthrough. There you go, Chris. Do us proud. And there it is. Prax Randolith. And that was the last moon of Nara. Anyway, let's see if we can get a good shot out there. Yep, that's Nara in the distance. I end up trying to find a scannable object, but as you can see, the slope value is an invalid value and my wheels have sunk into the ground. I try approaching this thing, it ends up being an Elu brown boulder. There are Elu artifacts all over the surface, but I haven't been able to scan any of them because I'm not on valid terrain. I just give up at this point. Come on, this is the second to last episode and I am tired of this problem. Let's just get out of here. We end up going straight shot for the main mission craft and catching back up to Doug Kerman. There we go. Let's just get back up, we'll meet up to join Doug and get ready for the next episode, the big one. Oh well. But we're not going to use this craft to land on Nara, no, there's no parachutes, no heat shields, no anything. Instead, I've got some special objects planned here. But we gotta go fetch them. First thing we gotta do is send the warp ship back to Kerbin for some servicing. We're pretty low on our nuclear bombs, so we are going to head it back there. We're going to reload our bombs, we're going to reload our xenon gas, and then we'll send the first of 2 craft that we're going to send here to the surface of Nara. We're far enough out that we can pretty much just warp straight home. But because we don't have a crew module on here, we do have to follow our breadcrumb trail of relay satellites. Off we go. So yeah, what you're gonna see here is all of my maneuvers to get back. We get so far up, we make our orbit relatively circular. A couple of tricks I've learned during this thing. If you get the ascending and descending nodes lined up like this, we can actually warp straight up or down to fix our inclination straight away. We are in angular momentum mode, so we can do that. And once we get our relative inclination to Kerbin sorted out, we can warp back in and pretty much get home. And there we go. I can try to do a warp drive tutorial later on, but you know what? I am getting pretty tired of this playthrough. Anyway, we get this thing back to low Kerbin orbit, and then we can send up our servicing craft. This is the same rearming craft we've used before, only we've got it almost filled right up with bombs. This was the most I could load onto this craft and still get this thing safely into orbit. It ended up being just enough to fully top up the main mission craft. Inside that service bay, I've got a xenon tank as well. There we go. Hello! Regular or unleaded? Well, we'll get the unleaded NPU 250s and the unleaded xenon gas. There we go. And now we're all topped up. The xenon gas was needed for the warp drive to work properly. The nuclear reactor generates small amounts of it, but not enough to replenish our stores here, so we'll top that up as well. The rearming craft comes down reasonably safe. I didn't need to bring an engineer up to bring this thing down safely. We did lose signal as expected, but it did not come apart, and that heat shield turned into a drogue chute for us. We were able to touch this thing down, and before it tipped over, we just quickly recover it. There we go. Now we've got two new craft. What we're going to do is we're going to do a couple return trips back to Nara. The one on the top left is the Nara rover, which we're going to keep in its fairing so it can re-enter safely. The one on the bottom right is the Nara lander. You might notice, aside from the fairing, that it has a striking resemblance to the Eve lander, and, well, it turned out that the Eve lander design worked out really well with just a few adjustments. We'll get these docked up. This is what happened in two separate outings back and forth to Nara here. Again, I kinda got fed up. I am really hoping that the surface problems we ended up with on Nara's moons don't give us problems on Nara itself. That Eve lander, yeah, the Nara lander, was barely within the boundary of that warp bubble, but we were able to get it out to Nara safely. What a ride. This thing started just under 2 years ago, and in between really long breaks and between 4 different versions of Kerbal Space Program and how many different versions of Copernicus, yeah. No, actually only 3, but hey, we'll take that. I think I skipped over 1.8.1, that was why. Yeah, what a ride. I'm gonna hope to finish this up real soon. I might take a short break before filming the final episode. And Galileo team, I have a question for you guys. May I show your real names in the final credits in the final episode? I'd like to be able to introduce Galileo team to everybody. Anyway, I'll find out in a bit. Let us drop off our lander and our rover in low Nara orbit. Not the exact same low Nara orbit, fortunately, but that's okay. Okay, I hope you guys all enjoyed this ride as much as I enjoyed making it. Hopefully more, because near the trail end it was getting pretty crazy. Anyway, we've got one last pickup to do, and that's to go get our main mission craft up at Prax, pick up Chris, Bob, and Doug Kerman. And we'll see you back in low Nara orbit. Until then, I'm not manly. Fly safe.